Recruited by ISIS, today on The World. I'm Carol Hilson for Marco Werman.
They're normal, everyday kids that get caught up in something, make mistakes, don't realize the choices they're making. They're not all evil like what we see in the media. They're kids having emotional struggles.
Western kids lured by ISIS. 2 stories for you today with very different outcomes. Also, plans to provide free internet access in India meet with fierce opposition. And a Korean fashion model finds out that size really does matter.
When I was in LA, I was too skinny to do plus size modeling. But in Korea, I'm just a fat woman. Yeah.
All that and an airport welcome that might even take the edge off a weather delay and a middle seat. It's The World. Today on the show, we're going to try to get our heads around a difficult idea. What leads a young person living what seems to be a normal everyday life in the West to join an extremist group? And what can you do to bring them back? We'll hear from a Canadian woman whose son left home to enlist with ISIS. But first, the BBC talked with one young British woman who was recently contacted by ISIS recruiters. She preferred not to use her name, but she did talk about what first got her interested. It was the news about 3 teenage girls, gifted students in East London, who slipped away in February to join ISIS.
I guess that sparked the curiosity. Why are they going? I was really curious about the whole issue of it, really. And I didn't start off with the intention of, I'm going to go there, definitely. Let me just think about it for a little bit. I was on Twitter usually. And, I guess I went into it like that. And then obviously my Snapchat must have been in my Twitter bio. And they contacted me on that. And it wasn't really as cliche as people think it was. It wasn't a sort of, hey, come join us type thing. It was more of a, hey, sister, how are you doing? Are you well? Mashallah, all these things. And it's like a conversation with your friend. It's like a normal thing, and you start to think, oh, maybe it is normal. It's one of those things where if you talk to someone every day for weeks, you're going to build a relationship with them. You're gonna care for them, even if they don't care for you. And then the questions started dropping. Maybe I would be like, oh, so are you married or something over there? And they'll be like, oh yeah, but it's okay. They care about your opinion over here. It's not like how it is back in the UK where people don't like you and people are shunning you just because you're Muslim. And it was glorified, I guess. It was made to seem like it was this promised land and everything's perfect there and your whole life's problems will go away. I sort of sat down and thought about it. I was like, wait, but if I go over there, then what about football, really? I guess if I have 3 kids and a husband, am I really going to be able to continue living my passion? And the thing about this team is it's a family, really. Everyone's together. You have somewhere where you are accepted and where everyone does love you. And once you have a place to go like this, then you won't even be brought to think about that kind of thing.
The place to go the young woman is talking about is the community around her local soccer team. She now works with the Unity of Faiths Foundation, a group that fights radicalization through soccer. Christiane Boudreau co-founded another kind of group that works to counter extremism. It's called Mothers for Life, and it's a network for parents like her who've lost their sons and daughters to radical groups. Boudreau's son Damien died fighting with ISIS in Syria last year. We've spoken to her before about it. She's reached out to other parents, including a British woman who'd been optimistic that her son might leave ISIS and come home from Syria.
The whole group had high hopes that we would see him again. The biggest thing with any of these parents that we meet is that's our chance to relive and have that hope and keep that hope that they'll come back and turn their life around and that the family won't have to go through what we've all been through.
What happened to this young man?
There was no sign. She didn't know what was happening. Woke up one morning, he was gone. She thought he was gone to work. And later on in the day, found out that he'd been at the airport getting on an airplane to Turkey to travel. 2 months later is when she first heard from him. And that's when we found out where he was, what he was doing, who he was with. And they continued to communicate. But unfortunately, there was no way to convince him to turn around and come back. And he was killed in November.
It's a very tough situation. And I understand that this mother, this British mother, she has not gone public yet. Where does she turn for support?
The only support she does have is within our group. Fortunately, one of the other parents was close enough to be able to make the flight to be there with her when she received the news and try to support her. But there aren't any other associations, groups, foundations.